We are back with day 2 of the EU closed qualifier. Everyone's on a server. Everyone is ready to roll. Vince, you set for a nice little FNATIC big clan matchup?
Yeah, man, I think this is one of those kind of classic matchups that we've seen throughout the eras of the last sort of 5 years of Counter-Strike. Different rosters, of course, but still a very important game. 1-1, the score for these two teams. Another best of one coming at you. We actually have a best of 3 after this, so tons of CS again, and big starting on the T side. But it's kind of like two household names at this point in CS.
Yeah, stalwart organizations that have been around for a long time. Never going away, never giving up. But who's going to make it to the RMR? That's the question. Crim's living legend in his own right. Has 2 dualies, but he's been deleted, Vince. My God, taken out of the server in a single click.
Yeah, they even checked that off angle. That's not an angle you typically expect, but they did have the smoke landing on the cave side, so it was isolating Crims from getting peeked from the other side there. And now Mantu, a fully flashed up body, finally gets it done. Better late than never. Matisse comes in, but already 2 casualties. Another perfectly timed flash. These flashes have been on point. 3 kills for Mantu to kick the round off, and taking that forward position could even be on for the ace, but he gets splattered by Afro. Still 3 players remain. There's a smoke in his hands, though, but no kit between the two of them. Smoking off one of the angles. They still have to watch out for Cave and the site itself, where Process is laid and wait with those dualies, but taps and shuts it down. Gets both kills as they line up for him, and Big claim first blood.
Old Tapson there as he brings them down with a couple clicks on the Glock. So Big looking pretty drilled on the opening pistol round, actually. All in all, quite clean, even with a bit of a struggle FNATIC were able to put up towards the end. And you're going to be sitting pretty. Going back in with an instant upgrade. Not that many SMGs this time around, though. Favouring the Galils, 3 of them to be precise. Just the 1 MAC-10 in play, so if you can farm the cash onto the SMG, that would be the dream scenario. They send Process as the entry towards A main. He'll be walking up, clearing the angles, first to peek if necessary. If he falls, at least it's just a probing tool of a weapon that you're using. And they've basically discovered that A bomb site is completely barren. The welcome mat is down, and they can invite themselves in. It's all on Crimbo to farm.
Exactly, and this is where you wish he had one of those MAC-10s. Big. Yellow low should be good enough, but it's only 2 kills. He even had taps in there to watch his back to a degree. So, I mean, all things considered, not too bad if you are on the side of FNATIC. However, Body won't be able to shimmy in and save the Galil. And I was looking at some of the stats coming into this in terms of who was like top performing and who was kind of underperforming. Body is quite near the bottom. I think he was something like 10th from bottom, and that's for all players in the closed qualifiers in terms of just raw stats, in terms of kills, deaths, all those kinds of trimmings, the HLTV ratings. So he's had a bit of a rough one here. Not really required to be a heavy hitter in this team necessarily, but that could potentially be a problem for FNATIC if a couple of the big weapons aren't firing off.
And it does feel like he's had his highlights at times as well throughout history of CS. He's always been a player that you can rely on, especially if he needs to have a bit of a secondary AWP sort of role with a rifle. This is one where Matty's actually one of the big performers for them. Could have a little bit of luck as well. They've taken deep control of mid and lane and forced back the T. Just the one, because everyone else is barreling out towards the A site. Body playing a far angle all the way back towards CT, gets vision, strikes onto Process and stays alive as well. Molly's going to make it a bit more awkward. He's got to push in front of it or dip further back. Opts for the first option.
Does indeed as he falls back in there, Body. He's looking to try and put some more players down, and he will get his double. There will be no triple behind it. Mantu taking the initiative and pushing forward, trying to draw away fire from his teammates, but in doing so overextends. And now they're in a little bit of trouble. Try as they may, Sin is the next to fall, and Crimbo just swarmed by CTs. It is a successful retake, but it will be another buy coming up, albeit on Process on a low amount of cash. But FNATIC, importantly, get it done with 4 players alive. And that is going to do the world of good to Body's confidence. I was just double-checking that stat there. So he is in a 0.85. To put it in context, coming into this game on the side of FNATIC, the lowest performing FNATIC player. Whereas if you look at it big, the lowest big performer is Sin on a 0.98. Everybody's been playing pretty solidly over the duration of these last 2 maps for them, even when they lost.
God damn. some big numbers to be putting up. They're a fun team to watch as well. I actually quite like a little bit of what we've seen already with some of the strategy from Big here. It was also similar for FNATIC. A lot of their A and B takes were really nice set pieces with the utility they've been whipping out on Ancient. So I'm glad we've got Ancient for this. Bastion the Observer hates it, despises it, but I'm quite happy. It means we might actually get a fairly good test of both of these sides' tactics. Onto this one, Process lucky to be alive as well, spam through the smoke, and they go in for quite a confident retake, leaping and bounding through that defensive position, one by one, cleaving their way through all the T's as well. They've done a perfect job of being able to isolate all these fights. You've left Mantu and Crimbo in a 2 versus 5, massively outnumbered, and they're already starting to scarp of it. So they realize this one isn't really winnable from this position. Best case scenario, try and hold on to what you've got.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on to these AKs, look for a couple of exit frags. It's such a difficult site to retake when you've post-planted, you've been kind of stuck into the A main side of play. There's not really much you can do. So understandable why Big have decided, let's just pull the plug, keep ourselves these 2 AKs, and we can maybe run it back. Mantu could drop here, but because there's a lot of casualties haven't really been forthcoming on FNATIC, they must realize that by and large their economy is pretty solid. So it's all about that risk versus reward. If you just hold fire here, you're going to have your own really solid buy into that next one. I'll just give you an opportunity here, Jacky. The top 3 players, can you guess one of them in terms of stats over the duration of these last 2 maps?
Ooh, okay. That's a good one. I'd say Tabson's probably up there. And then I'd also, honestly, I'd go for either Matties or Crims. I feel like those would be the 3 names that would probably be on the upper end.
So here's the real surprise. It's Mantu.
Okay. Ooh,
Mantu
okay.
is top for either team. He's currently in position 7 or 8 with 1.39 rating. The guy's been balling.
Big Mantu, the Mauler. He had been looking pretty fresh as well. Mechanically, almost like, from what I had seen from him, it felt like he kind of was one of those players that took CS2 in his stride and did look a lot more revitalized with it. Oh god, there's a lot of body blocking going on here. Cave's getting a bit awkward, Vince. Not too much room. Everyone's on top of one another. Personal space has gone out the window, but they are at least finding the threats.
Yeah, that was a bit of a dicey situation, wasn't it? Only the 2 kills on the side of FNATIC, but considering it was effectively a save on most of these players, I'm sure Big won't be too dismayed at the outcome. The fact that they are now trailing by 1 round, though, is a bit more of a problem. And we find ourselves in a very similar position to that last round as well, where we're discussing the importance of not falling into that, 1 and 2 bracket or 0 and 2 bracket, because there's so many dangerous teams down there, and you'd be moving into those best of 3s just to survive, just to save yourselves. Interestingly as well, this doesn't happen too often, but Big have elected to go for a tactical timeout 2 rounds in a row. You don't see that too often. Not tech issues here. These are legit tactical timeouts. So from one to the next, Tech 9's this time going to be coming in. So I don't know if we're going to be seeing some more kind of aggression up on Catwalk, but that last round just didn't really work out for them.
No, didn't have as much punch as potentially they would need. Although, these are always the ones that terrify me, mate. When I'm seeing these Tech 9 buys come in, bit of utility as well to support it. Let's see if this could just be a quick explosive round for them. Early nades exchanged at middle sell the idea that everyone's bubbling on the brim, waiting for the push out mid. CT's drain a whole load of their defensive nades to block that off, and then you just play contact outside of A. They've cut noise, they've gone slow. Double smoke over the top as well, though. Those are going to bloom towards CT or Temple and give you a little bit of legway. They can walk out. Okay, it's actually the front A main smoke as well, so they can just go straight in through this. This could toy with Afro. He's going to try and molly around the back. Waste a bit of time. No over-rotate from the CTs either, and they've got so much map control towards lane that soon the penny's going to drop. This is an A play.
Yeah, Afro on the approach doesn't connect the shot. Flashed off so many times here. Smoke's now going to go down. The post plant is almost a guarantee. But when you consider the lack of utility that now comes to the forefront and Crim's getting the opening pick, things looking a little bit dicey for Big's chances to hold on to this advantage. Crim's taking a lot, but he is going to return fire. Tabson now charges through. The call would have been relayed that Aldink was landed, but Crim's for his 3rd. And the legend standing head and shoulders above the rest of his teammates on 8 kills. as Crimbo with it all to do with 5 angry CTs looking to reclaim what was once theirs. First kill goes his way, just sticking on that defuse, and it will just be the one and done from Crimbo's position. So FNATIC with another successful retake, with another successful defuse in the last 4 rounds. They have been in post plants, but they've come out ahead, each and every one of them.
They're getting onto the bomb site, just not quite sticking the landing on a few of those. So obviously there it was just a single Kalashnikov that was brought to the party. So not as if it was an entire investment from them. This round's a lot better. The cash was there. They bought up. Mantu's on the AWP as well. So the scope has been donned. Crimbo beating the timing on the spawn. He's got into the off angle here. Looked like Body was going to push straight down. Doesn't even matter. His foot poking through the smoke gives that freebie up to Crimbo. Now they just need to clear out on QB's position. He's tucked into the cubby and he's battling back. Does a nice amount of damage, picks up a free frag, stays alive, and drops the smoke as well for the getaway.
He's not done just yet. He's gone in for more. His bloodlust not satiated process. Dent peak. He wants to wait for that HE to explode first, and it will. He'll pick up the kill, but it's even more damage done. Crim's going to get caught here if he's not careful, but Sin fires off a bit prematurely. So Crim's can hold into position. He's getting a poke from 2 angles. He gets both players.
Wow.
How? 2 completely separate angles for him to just whip in. Oh my goodness. Crims has not lost a step.
Man, that was actually sick. It felt like, sure, one and done, Vince. Maybe he gets that first pick, but the fact he's been able to just clash his way through 2 of them. Damn. Crims knows how to handle 2 men at once. That's what we've learned here today. Wild, Vince. Wild. But he's been looking so good. That's kind of the consistent talking point that we've had every time we've seen FNATIC play, is that Crims really does look like he's just been absolutely giving it. He's playing with confidence and he's hitting the shots as well. The prac must be back. The routine's there for him. Snoozed out of his mind. Absolutely giving it.
Also, the way that QB was so aggressive throwing cave as well. He may do it again because he's got Matty's just behind him. But those are the kind of plays, those opportunistic moments that's going to keep Big on the back foot. They're constantly being cognizant of the fact that he has done it before. Is he going to go for it again? That's the kind of moment that can make them that little bit more indecisive, a little bit more passive. And QB's now cleaning up as you go back to the site. Crimbo's there, his head peeking out the corner, removed instantly with haste. This FNATIC CT side is looking very good indeed. Crims has had a great game, but QB, so aggressive, so explosive. Matty's gets one traded back as the Deagle bullet passes between his eyes, but it's afforded Afro the opportunity to stand tall and deliver. 6-2 the score, and Big back to the drawing board. And keep in mind, their 2 rounds they picked up were off the back of the pistol. When it's come to rifle rounds, they've got nothing.
It's crazy, isn't it? There's been a good few chances where there's been 3 rounds where you've gotten to the bomb site, could have been planted, looked like maybe you can make something out of it. But you've been ruined. The CT side from FNATIC is looking so damn good. And we know from what we've seen already, over the course of the open qualifier and even enclosed, FNATIC's T side Ancient actually looks pretty drilled. Their setups are nice. They play well together. The comms have been on point. But most importantly, Vince, I've been so much more impressed with this FNATIC roster just for the sheer firepower. Feels like anyone can pick up the baton and anyone can really just, control a round off the skin of their own back. It's looking better and better. This time doesn't work out too well for the cave control. Nice idea. Body flashes QB in. He looks for the peak, but it goes a little bit skew-if on the actual assault. And now Body's just tucking in, playing on the off angle and realizing that you're down quite a few men, outnumbered in this one, 5-3. Timing-wise, about 1 minute and 10 on the clock. Mid-push works out, though. Afro's gone for the whole push, out A main, flanked up through middle, and taken down a player on a box, and gets away before Mantu can wrap back onto mid. Map controls all over the shop, though, Vince. It's completely exchanged hands.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? And in that kind of chaos, you're looking for those players that can keep pure calmness and keep that clarity. Thread the eye of the needle as Afro finds one. And now that's going to clean up the map control a little bit before he falls. He could then focus his attention over Donut and Main. However, he will fall on that AWP. And with 30 seconds left, the 2 remaining CTs making moves through on Temple. Crims will be sat in CT to make sure there's no shenanigans round the back. but both of Big are going the same way. Crims has a smoke and a Molotov. Now, the bomb is planted for this donut hold, but if both of them are finding their way over on there, this could start to get a little bit sketchy. Crims did spot the player. Molotov down, forces him into the open, and now Mantu's in a lot of bother. He has to try and hold the line, hold his nerve, find that perfect smoke bang position. And he realizes it's going to be the tap, but there is the strength in numbers. They may not have enough time for this defuse, though. It's going to go right down to the wire, but FNATIC have it done. The two-player retake is good, and Crims with 11 will stand as the last man.
Wow, nerves of steel on the comms for that one as well. You could see FNATIC felt so comfortable. It was just how they were playing it. It was set up perfectly. Crims, no stranger to getting last-second diffusers in, pulls that one off. And this is beautiful. I mean, 7-2 now. Absolute manhandling over half. Couldn't have gone better for FNATIC. And it's a perfect way to smooth out the road bumps they've had, of course. They have lost one game in the closed qualifiers so far, meaning going into this, like we said at the beginning, this is a 1-1 record game. You win this, you go 2-1, you get into the best of 3 stages with at least a single safety net underneath you to attempt to qualify to the RMR in Romania. And they already start off round 10 with a banger as well. Opening 3B, QB waiting for the attack towards the B bomb site. He's going to swing on out. All goes wrong though. Can't control the spray. And he gets slain by Tabson. Crims already on the flank. He's got backup inside a cave.
He does. They're going to have to outweight that Molotov, though, which will only be a few more seconds. They can press go again. Body snatching his way around the back of T-Spawn, the double doors. 4 solid post-plant positions aside of Big. Surely this is their time. They've had so many post-plant and conceded all of them. This has to be it now. 2-player push outside of cave. As Crims watches Matties get splattered, gets one, but the positions are too untenable. I don't see them sticking around with Afro. He's setting up for exit frags as it stands. And they realize that position could be compromised. So they're going to pull the plug elsewhere after 5 times of trying. Finally, Big are going to take a post plant and make it theirs. Maybe they're going to just wake up in the dying embers of this half and start getting some rounds. If they can pull off a 7-5, this is still a respectable scoreline, Jacky. It will feel pretty grim losing 7 in a row with multiple post plants, but a 7-5 would not be bad at all.
Exactly, especially if you get that momentum back with a string of rounds towards the end of the half. With MR12, it might feel like you've been bodied for a majority of the half, but you can still close the gap pretty efficiently. And then all you've got to do is think about the pistol. Take it 1 round at a time. Back to basics, though. Big, heading towards the A site. We've seen this before. Running straight in. Smoke on the fly to block off both Donut and CT. Molotov on the lip. We've seen a lot of CT smoke pushes from FNATIC. They like to just run through it. So they're countering that with the Molotovs. Get the plant in off the back of Tabsum. They break the smoke towards Donut. And Matty spams in. But no free connections. Previously, we've seen these smoke shots actually rinsing them. Oh, spoke too soon. Mantu left black and blue. Down on 5 HP, Vince, as the retake begins.
Good news for Mantu, though, is he has already half of that timer on the fuses ticked away. This means FNATIC, if they're going to go for this, they've got to make a move right now. And that could play into a couple of unchecked angles, a couple of crossfires that would be way more potent and prolific. Afro peeks through the Molotov and gets some success. Can't double up, though, and the time is too low, but Crims is going to stick onto this one and hope that he gets bodyguarded in. 2 players push, they do get the frags, but it's too little too late. Although all the T's may fall down, they do so with the bomb detonation and with 2 rounds in a row. They are ending the half strong, but can they end it with 3 unanswered rounds?
This is ridiculous. The sheer amount of retakes we've seen from FNATIC. Well, they didn't get the round on that one. Still played it pretty nicely. Really, really hitting hard at the minute. You can see they're feeling themselves in terms of the confidence. The gun skill today looks crisp. We get into the last round of the half then. Big, what have you got for us? Anything that can change the course of this game, get you. 7-5. Crimbo just walks in through the smoke. Oh, Vince. He was set up for the opener. Bypassed the crosshair of body, but even his flick is enough to dispatch as he swipes him out of the B site. They will overcommit on the deep swing towards CT, though. They find body and trade it back. Crims, meanwhile, he's being body blocked down towards mid, but all the frags are coming up CT. FNATIC, they find a flurry of kills in a matter of seconds and leave it on just one man, outnumbered 1 versus 3.
You know, so one of them is now. He's still got a minute left on the clock. He can try and Oh, you can see what he's going for. If I push the AWP and he misses, I kill him, and I have potentially a golden ticket to the other side of the map. Maybe we can play some shenanigan fakes and try and catch one of those players in transition. Hasn't worked out for him, though, meaning that although Big did pick 2 of the remaining 3 rounds of the half up, they still find themselves at a 4-round deficit at 8-4. And he did highlight this is a 1-to-1 matchup, so to put some perspective and context into how these teams got to this position, Big lost to Bet Boom 13-9. They've been looking very good as of late. And FNATIC lost against Saw in overtime on Anubis 16-13 on the first day, and then beat Sinners, which we casted, on Ancient 13-7 yesterday. So, yes, the loser of this game will be in a pretty rough position, but FNATIC now on their T side, occupying quite a bit of utility on Crim's Afro and Body, but it's QB that's just sneaking outside of middle right now. They smoked off red, all 5 players here.
Making their moves step by step. It's a very B-centric pistol round setup for Big. They want to gain control of lane, and this will give them all the information they need, but FNATIC have moved slightly quicker than anticipated. They're already up through Donut, and this relies on Crimbo to have his ears perked up. He's heard the audio cue, relays it to his team. They begin the fast flank, round through middle, but QB's waiting, P250 in his hand, sweating. Can he defend on a push? Blind, dazed, confused, and taken down. Process with 2 on a retake. Crims up close. Will he get personal on this one? Looking aggressive for the cleanup. Crimbo finally plays his card, but it's not looking great. You're down to a 1v2. Body, wide swings as well. He's peppering in Vince and will actually find it. The Gamma Glock gets it done as he strikes on the last man. Hoped that he could just full commit and his teammates would buy him enough time for the defuse, but not now, not here. FNATIC take the pistol.
Man, that's some sick play from Body. Process originally threw on Donut, landed 2 outrageous shots. The first one an instant tap. The second one, well flashed, just game sense off the charts, taps through the smoke and lands a stray bullet to the dome and really opened up that potential retake. But Body in a 1-on-3, the player that we highlighted as having the roughest stats coming into this, and he is lighting up the scoreboard and having tons of impact in the process. Huge, huge round. And now Big on the back foot. They have a Flash, they have a Zeus, and that's pretty much it. And I was looking at the stats as well, because you said in that first half, one of the tantalizing things about FNATIC is how even it is in terms of fragging distribution and how strong these players are, as Crimbo is going to try and make Matties ride the lightning here if he's not careful. But I was checking the stats. You're absolutely spot on. The only player that's behind is Body. Everybody else is around that 1.10, 1.15 kind of threshold. So really, really solid team performance here.
Oh dear. It looks like we've had a bit of a crash. Not ideal. Yeah, let me turn this light on. There we go. We'll get that resolved, and we'll get back in game. Don't worry about that. CS2, it does have the occasional crash with anything to do with CSTV or demos for some reason. Valve are cooking on it. It's like cracking eggs into a pan, Vince. Takes a little bit of butter, a little bit of heat, you know?
Bit of time, bit of love, you know, and then eventually it'll be good as gold, as CSGO was. I can see that we are connecting back into the server. In terms of like timing, it really couldn't have been a better round for that to happen. It was effectively an eco. It's 10-4. I don't think any bloodshed actually on the T side. They're going to come through with this round with 4 Galils and an AK-47, and Big will be having thereby as well. So 10-4 the score. He didn't miss much at all, and now we're getting straight back underway. Big. Simply put, Jacky, it feels like they have to win this round. They lose this and they're at such a vast gulf. It doesn't seem like they'll be able to get back in.
It's true, man. It's true. It's one of those where there's definitely still room for a comeback, but if you don't start right now and keep the course corrected, it's going to get so hard for you. CT side Ancient as well, you need those nades. They make a world of difference, and it's not looking too great. Ooh, okay. Matty's heard the audio cue and a Molotov, that little singeing sound, and thought he could push him through the smoke and get the frag, maybe expecting that he was doubling back. The CT was going to fall back further in cave. Instead, he holds on the off angle, gets the opening pick. So that's the first frag found. Ooh, Crimbo, he just wide swings for the elevated peak, taking the fight towards them on the boost. Didn't expect the face, does not work for him. Crims limps his way out of that one with about 7 HP. So we're down to a raw 4-on-4. You've got a little bit of a spread here from the T's as well. They're backing off from the control they had towards A main. There is an info play. That's man 2. He's going to get the read on this, Vince. Everyone else is grouped up, building the barricades at B. But where are the T's going? It's a round of ring around the rosies, and they're walking back into man 2.
Oh, but the timing, though, he's going to be able to isolate the two of them and get right down the middle. Snatches at the first kill, but he can't pivot round in time. But that was the heavy HP QB rather than the weakened Crims. So in terms of his target selection, it has worked out nicely on the side of Big. Has afforded tabseN the luxury of getting in here quick. And they're going to be going middle with the fact that they have the linchpin player, the foundation of Afro already clearing cave. It looks like the final destination of this bomb will be over onto the B side of the map. Now, there is currently Process here, but he's playing more of a deep passive angle, and the smoke should allow them safe passage. Flashbang, in fact, there's a Molotov traded out with the flash onto the site to try and draw away fire, and he sprays down. That's the bomb that's dropped as well. This round's going to go the way of Big. They managed to get it done. That incendiary funneled them into a bottleneck, and then the M4 spray was on point.
Ooh, that was a scary round. Walking the tightrope. Lots of small nuances that really could have made some big differences. Timing on that as well. Man 2. Man. This guy was born with a gold pocket watch, it seems. Crazy timing on a flank out through A main. And FNATIC using a tactical timeout as well. We've seen a lot of these, but all of them have been from the big camp. They've been opting to slow down the game, figure out situations. It hasn't helped them quell the leading too much. But for FNATIC, this is a good time to do it. You instantly put ice on the game. You lose your first buy round. Figure out what you want to do, how you want to adjust this. The one buy you've got to play with is Crims, the scavenged M4. He can take that in as first entry. If he falls, someone else can pick it up. You try and keep that rifle in quick succession. Keep it being utilized over the course of the round. A few Tech 9 supporting him potentially. And a fair bit of Kevlar floating around as well. They had about 3k, so you can likely afford to spend some of your money and buy back into this. Deep mid-smoke goes out early. Smoke off red room. Sell the idea of a potential mid-smoke. And QB goes to bait in. Ooh, he's throwing one of his own as well. They're really trying to lure them into thinking this is going to be an out through mid to A play, when in reality, they're setting up for B.
Yeah, and to be fair to Big, they haven't really bit down on this fake either. Like, they actually draw a player instantly across to the B side of the map. It has foregone any mid-control. There's not much they could do any with those smokes. Now the smokes are fading. Crimbo's going back over. He has a thought in the back of his mind, like, should I go and watch mid again? Instead, he's bolstering up this B defense. So even with some flirtation and some faking and some misdirection, it still won't favor FNATIC as they take the stray grenade of Crimbo, lands in the pocket of Crims, and down he will fall. He is a talisman right now. 16 kills, 141 ADR. Playing out of his mind, but he is the first casualty of war, and Big looking good to establish another round here and to force the T's back. Nice shot from Sin. Smoke also erupts in the face of the T's. There's no way forward apart from over the corpses of their comrades. It's a bleak picture, but it's a bleak round overall on the side of FNATIC. However, there is a lot of sunny weather coming up potentially, as they will have another buy into that next one. At this point, it's about damage control, I think, Jacky. Like, how many kills, if any, can they get? They're going to be pressing the trigger now and going in.
Engines revving. Ooh, smoke shot, though, might delay this push. QB so low, so he's blown down. Crimbo assaults as well. And one by one, all of the T's are found. So Big Clan put another one in the backpack. A second round into the second half here. Moving themselves up to only a 4-round differential between them and FNATIC. The gap is beginning to close, but it wasn't a real test of their steel. Of course, there wasn't that much to work with for FNATIC, whereas the difference is here. They can once again rebuy fully. AK's pulled out, smokes to back them up, utilities there. And they're going to be feeling a lot more confident about this one. Similar play as we saw from the previous round. 2 deep smokes out on mid. Crims takes a ton of damage from the fire though, but he's still trying to walk around it. They want to break the smoke and flash over the top on a peak. He's looking for the assist from Matties. It's all going a bit wrong. Everyone's brushing shoulders like ships in the night. They back off towards cave, and it's Tabson with the MP9 that slams down for the first frag.
Yeah, the timing there was so unfortunate to Donut. They had a couple of opportunities from Matties, but every time he peeked, they just ran around the other side. And Tabson going in for the shoulder peaks. A guy that is so incredibly experienced. Like, we're talking about Crims being a legend of the Swedish scene. Tabson certainly is that for the German scene. 2 real legends that have played against each other so many times in the past. It'll be actually interesting to find out the stat of how many times they've played together in officials. It must be like hundreds at this stage over the years. But who is going to be in the lead come the end of this one, Jacky? So far, it's looking like FNATIC, but I've got to say, I think the momentum is maybe starting to force its way in the hands of Big.
They're definitely getting back into the driving seat. As long as you can cleanly convert this round as well, Vince, that could kind of be, you know, the breath of fresh air in the lungs. Ooh, Afro. Okay, no contact. Does make his way into the bomb site. He's coming across now to the other players. They need to wrap in. Wasn't ready for the re-peek. Process on a Galil. Gets gory. Strikes against Afro. And gives him a haircut on that one. 2 versus 4. They slip onto the bomb site with a Molotov, Vince. That makes a world of difference. Time's going to be so close on this one. Even if they find the frags, you're only going to have about 10 seconds to plant. Tabson's coming in with a late flank. They will get it down by the skin of their teeth. All on a 2v2. Does QB realize he's being flanked by Tabson?
He's being hunted. I think he just saw a glimpse. I think he just saw a pixie. He absolutely did. Now he's checking this one. Wide angle in, but Tabson gets the upper hand. A trade that will send shivers down the spine of Body as he realizes he has nobody else to play off. It's all down to him. He's already picked up a couple of massively important clutches, but he's going to have to go one better. The flash doesn't really affect him. The spray in gets one, but it won't be a double up. And with Tabson on a kit, he has more than enough time, ample time for the defuse. A close nail biter round, but it's going to go the way of Big again. And you go back to that trade. The MP9 up close, double doors, getting the better of the AK was everything for Big and gives them another giant step towards FNATIC's 10 rounds.
Man, this is one for the viewers at home as well. In your Premiere games, buy them at 10. Buy the MP9. They are outrageous right now. The sheer rate of fire, the way you can swing into fights. Sure, it helps if your opponent runs out of ammunition, but the MP9 definitely played a part. 7 rounds there for Big. FNATIC sat on 10, Vince. They're starting to stagnate. They're getting stuck in the mud. Something's got to change. Process waiting for the push-up ramp as well. He's jiggling. He's confident for this fight. And Body's the only one that's actually armed to try and take him down. But now they know. You get the audio cue off the back of the tag from the nade. He's a little bit paranoid about this. They're fully committing for the 2-pronged attack into B. It just depends if they get the tap off. A little bit too slow on the draw. The tech won't deal enough damage. Won't hit the head. And now they're pent in. They're trapped, Vince, and second guessing if they want to go for the play at all.
Yeah, therein lies the problem, though, doesn't it? It's not really a plan B because they simply don't have any grenades. This is where if you had a full kit of utility and firepower, you can just pull the plug with this much time and say, whatever, we'll go execute elsewhere. There is no second opportunity here on the side of FNATIC. They're going to try and be rummaging together a rotation with the Deagle. Tabson comes out second best, though. But there's a double stack in red. This is a really good call to try and quell these rotating plays. And although it's a little bit sketchy and maybe a bit of an embarrassing passage of play for Tabson after a great clutch he just pulled off, it doesn't really seem to matter a great deal. Crim's still alive, though. And as long as Crims is still alive, the dream maintains on FNATIC. 20 seconds, though. He's going to get straight down the middle and split the 2 defending halves, but Mantu says no. He's up trained on red, anticipating this play. And that vast lead of 10-4 is now dwindled to 10-8. They are super close, just 2 rounds away.
Rip-roaring comeback for Big. Really making the difference on their CT side. And it feels like the air of confidence for the individuals has changed as well, Vince. They're hitting their shots now. It was looking a little bit shaky first half. A few misplays, a few moments where you're expecting them to punish and they just couldn't. Here, they're starting to shoot a bit harder, getting into grips with the game. Okay, deep push on Cave does not work out. tabseN, though, surely no one clears this. Surely no one realizes. He's playing on an off-angle, anti-flash, inside of the smoke towards mid. Matty's a bit paranoid about it, but he's going to try and make a maneuver. He gets round the back, Vince. Needs to hit the shots. Only good for one. Could have been a cleanup, but does not deliver. So we're down to a 3v2.
Yeah, I felt like he snatched a bit of that opportunity, which is very unlike tabseN. I mean, no one's ever checking that angle at that stage. But maybe felt like he was compelled to be aggressive to try and save his teammate that was up in cave. It completely backfires, post plant in, and for all of Big's excellent CT work, one slip, one slide, and you're right back into the danger zone. And the alarm bells ring and chirp away in the distance, flashes through, process clearing out the long side. One player directly to his right, going to be Afro, and even if he does deal with Afro, a secondary component in cave, a solid bait switch setup, forces Mantu's hand away. He had such a strong opener to this game, but hasn't really been required for most of these rounds. But now he's going to have to save. Matty's dips away. Got 3 kills in this round. Will die to the bomb, unfortunately. But Mantu lives to fight another day. But that's kind of what we were talking about before. You know, we were discussing how maybe this FNATIC has a bit of a weak point with body. Little did we know it would be Matty's. And interestingly enough, coming into this game, you guessed that he would be the top sort of performer between these two teams. Understandably so. The guy is a complete beast. Actually, he was a 1.22 rating, the highest performing player on FNATIC. And yet until that round, he was on 4 and 15. He was having a shocker.
It's wild, man. It's wild. You know, I think he was like the 8th best player over all 4 of the open qualifiers combined in terms of his statistics. So to see him having a bit of a mare, having a rough game, it's uncharacteristic of him, especially on this map as well, where we've seen him be a bit of a demon, right? He's quick. He loves those entries, and it's just not been there. At least now he's starting to build back into his old self. Because FNATIC, you're only a stone's throw away from winning this game. This is a change, though, for Big. You've got the scope on Mantu. He's hearing all this. All the flashbangs, all the nades. Still peeks back in and slays. Takes down Matty's. Reface. Bit of a leg. Does damage. They're giving him the 1v1s, Vince. Consistently peeking into the AWPer in the best way possible to allow him to reset the weapon and strike back for a little bit more. Afro's down on his last legs. 15 HP. It's a 3 versus 4. You're outnumbered, but you've got map control. Oh, timing on this is everything. Process, if he doesn't dispatch and doesn't have the backup, they could bleed their way in through CT. The CT's peeking to him. QB wraps off, ready for the response from tabseN.
tabseN delivers. Loses 50 of his HP bar, but unfortunately he's lost his cavalry. They get spiked and skewered off the spear. And now Crimbo, he is the last man standing. I actually thought it was tabseN that was last alive. It's actually Crimbo, not for much longer. Just small minor details in the end in the grand scheme of the round as FNATIC still get the W. 12-8, the score with 4 match points. Oh, and Big's economy, Jacky. Oh, it hurts to look at. It's absolutely horrific. Now, the MP9s are being bought in bulk, which makes sense. They're very strong right now, but when you put them against the AKs, anything at range, it should favor FNATIC significantly. Not sure if they'll have a read of this situation, if maybe they'll try and play mid or try and get up ramp as fast as possible early doors, but they're calling a tactical timeout to get on the same page and to figure out what the best course of action is. This is a bit heartbreaking, though, if you're Big, if you're a fan of Big, watching the chat right now. Such a valiant comeback, but that's always the problem with leaving yourself such a vast deficit to fight off against. You can play flawless CS. Eventually, though, you may have a momentary lapse in judgment, or the other team is just going to stand up and switch to a different gear, and everything comes crumbling down.
It's the beauty of CS, isn't it, really? The fact that, you know, one person can put a round on their back, just pop off in a moment's notice and make the difference. A perfect timing, a perfect flash, a perfect 4K. Could be the difference of you making a comeback or having it all blow up in your face. Crimbo. Okay, he's pushed up. Poison Dart. Will he be able to strike and leap into action? No. Denied. Dispatch. Taken down as QB hits the head. Wild spam from tabseN. At least dashes the smoke. Peeks back in for a bit more. Overzealous, perhaps, as it feels like this sinking ship is going down quick.
Yeah, the gaping hole now in the hull. Water pouring in. And FNATIC not affording them any life jackets. No life rafts. But perhaps Sin's going to steal a couple here with that 5-7. Smoke beginning to dwindle away. Knows that there's more angles for him to watch out for. But he has drawn away a bit of fire. That could lull him into a false sense of security, not really realizing that Mantu is already in position. But the downside of Big is they've lost their rotational component. And now Mantu is going to get caught from 3 different angles. 13-8 the score. FNATIC